This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us today is Dennis Edmonds, the CEO of Kazera Global. Thank you very much for joining us today. Dennis, how are things?
Hi, Mark. Great to be here. I'm all good, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us. We do speak every so often. I'd like to be speaking more regularly, but let's get a bit of a catch-up on the year, really. I know you've got three main projects, Whalehead, Deep Blue Minerals, and African Tantalum. I wonder if you could perhaps maybe take us through each of the projects or some of the key highlights that the company has achieved on those projects throughout the course of 2023.
Right. I guess the first one, perhaps to start with, is African Tantalum, where we announced at the end of last year that we'd sold it to a company, Chinese company based in Namibia. They have had some difficulties in terms of paying us for two reasons. One is that the price of product has fallen in China, but also because the Namibian government has prevented bulk exporting. They want people to be processing goods in Namibia, adding value in Namibia before they export. So they've had some difficulties there. It's actually not been a big issue for us. They've paid us around $5 million. Mm-hmm. We have the right to take it back if they default. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, they're covering all the costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that we're panicking about at all. It's enabled us to carry on and to focus on other things, in particular, the heavy mineral sands. Heavy mineral sands has gone exceptionally well this year. It was only last year that we got the permit to mine them. Since then, we have spent a lot of money on building a plant to process it. We have done a number of tests. And those tests have shown that we actually have a higher level of radioactivity than we had anticipated. And the reason for that is that we have higher levels of the more valuable heavy mineral sands, monazite, zircon, and rutile. So we've got a problem, which is a nice to have problem, but it has meant that we've had to go through additional steps. And it has meant that we've got to go through the nuclear regulator to get a certificate to enable us to deal with them. It's just a process, and they want to make sure that we've got the right things in place before we can export and deal with our heavy mineral sands. But once we've got those in place, we will get the permit. It's not a possibility of them not refusing us a permit. As long as we've got everything in place, we will get it.
Sure.
So that's where the heavy mineral sands is. The diamonds has been a really hard year for us. We've been through. Last year already, we had an issue with trying to process diamonds in conjunction with a company called MV5, which was imposed on us by Lexcor. We fixed up the Lexcor plant. The deal with MV5 fell through. We pulled out. The plant then stopped working because we weren't operating it. And it hasn't really worked properly since then. We have put some diamonds through, or some diamond gravels through, with tiny numbers of diamonds coming out. So we've got a number of tons of gravel, big number of tons of gravel, where we are convinced there are a lot of diamonds in them. So we've fortunately retained that gravel. But what we have done is we have commissioned a pulsating jig from a company in South Africa who make them for De Beers. And that there is the way for us to go. We did try a pan plant this year. We entered into a joint venture with somebody where we agreed that we'd pay them a percentage of what we put through. But the pan plant didn't work. It struggled with the heavy mineral sands. And so ultimately we decided that there was not the way to be going forward when we're still losing diamonds. Once again, we've still got the gravel, so we haven't really lost the diamonds, but we weren't getting them through the way we were wanting them to. So, we've been through a complicated year, I think, in lots of ways, but actually a positive year in terms of we've tried various things. None of them have cost us a fortune of money, and we've now faced some really, really interesting times for next year.
Okay, well, you say the interesting times for next year, and you've tried a number of things. Where would you see the more opportunity across the different projects here, and where would be the sort of focus of your efforts. I note from the report that came out just earlier that I think somewhere in there, it's probably from the CEO's comment, you talk about you want to aim for positive cash flow. At the minute, I think the cash at bank is about 760,000 or so. So, I mean, what's going to bring you that positive cash flow? How are you going to sort of aim to deliver that?
Right, a number of different avenues. The first one is in regard to the sale of African tantalum. We have three different possibilities there, I guess. The one would be that the company which has bought it simply pays us the balance due, or we enter into an arrangement with them. Cool. The second alternative would be that we assign that debt in its entirety to somebody else. Okay. And we're in discussions with somebody with the possibility of doing that. And the third possibility would be for us to cancel the agreement and enter into a deal with a different company. And we have one company who has expressed strong interest in doing that. So, okay. We're in that there is, as I say, it's not a position that worries us, but it will definitely change the amount of cash held by us very quickly. So that's African tantalum. The other thing then is diamonds. As I said previously, we've accumulated diamond gravels, sometimes not willingly. We've simply accumulated them because the process hasn't been working. So we've kept them to one side because we've been sure there were more diamonds than we were getting out. Mm-hmm. We have purchased the new pulsating jig that there should be on site this week. Obviously, there'll be a bit of installation involved, but certainly in the first quarter of next year, we are anticipating that we will be using that there together with a flow sort to produce essentially high concentrates of diamonds, which will then just simply go through final sorting with Alex Core, and Alex Core then will attend to the sales in accordance with their contract.
Okay.
So diamonds will certainly be a big part of cash flow early next year. And then the other part is the heavy mineral sands. We have got a new machine on site that there is installed, the process of finalization in terms of installation, and that there together with a number of spirals will give us a reasonably good product. We will probably need to add a magnetic separator to get it to the levels which customers are looking at, the levels of lithium dioxide or ilmenite. And the cost of that there will be borne by one of the off-takers. We're in discussions with a number of off-takers, and part of those discussions has been, if we enter into an off-take agreement with you, will you pay for the costs of the magnetic separator? And certainly 3 of the 4 we've spoken to have very clearly expressed their happiness to do that, on the basis that obviously the cost of that they will then get deducted from sales prices over a period of a year or 2 years or whatever. So, we're looking at cash from Namibia, we're looking at cash from diamonds, and we're looking at cash from heavy mineral sands, all within. We would expect to have something resolved on all of those and be doing something sensible by the first quarter of next year. The only criteria that is important there is on the heavy mineral sands, we need to get the certificate from the nuclear regulator.
Yeah, you need that permit from the nuclear. Yes, okay. And then you can crack on to get into some cash flow there. I guess it's fair to say you want that African tantalum situation sewn up really as soon as possible. So it's because you're not really an operator, are you? It would be nice to get it kind of put to bed, so to speak, in one way or another.
Exactly, Mark. That is exactly right. We aren't an operator, but we also aren't a bank. And we would much rather have that money. If we're not going to use it ourselves, let's rather send it back pay it back to shareholders. If we do have a project which it can be used in the short term or the immediate term, then that is what we will do. And that's one of the things, just to move on in terms of news for next year, is with our new shareholder, African Mineral Sands. They have links to a number of very, very interesting and very big projects. And they see the opportunity for us to get involved in those. So it is possible that we will use part of the cash to buy into something along those lines.
Okay, that's something that I noted as well, continuous evolution for potential M&A opportunities. So that's where that would feed into there. Obviously, you need the cash to do it, but it sounds like that's a priority to get that sorted.
Well, we are in discussions. We're looking at a number of different projects, and we've been offered them on incredibly favourable terms. So if we can make something work there, it could be absolutely revolutionary for Kazera and its shareholders. It could take us almost overnight into a much, much bigger company, much bigger market cap, and put us in a different space.
Okay, so looking
and
forward
you imagine if we got that sorted out and put together with revenues being generated from the other projects, it puts us in a great place for next year.
Indeed. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for that update. Dennis Edmonds, the CEO of Kazera Global.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.